So this is a movie starring Gillian Bell, who is basically the main reason I wanted to see this. Because I loved her in Workaholics and I haven't really seen her in a ton of things since. Just mainly smaller roles here and there, but I think this is the first movie I've seen her in where she actually plays the main character. And you know what? She did a really good job. She's one of the biggest reasons I liked this as much as I did. And I did like this a fair bit. I don't think it's outstanding, but it's pretty good. There really weren't a ton of things about it that bothered me at all. In fact, I'm struggling to come up with any other than some very minor nitpicks. Because, well, first of all, it's actually pretty funny. I think most of the jokes landed. And Gillian Bell's delivery is just so great. She has this way of making almost anything funny. But there are a few other minor characters in this that are pretty funny too, so it's not all on her. And the other thing is, this movie deals with some real struggles a lot of people have. Things like being overweight, self-esteem and self-acceptance. It also touches on the importance of friendship and support from loved ones. Because the main story here is about this woman who's basically obese. She's not living a very healthy life and she's not happy with how things are going in general. She feels kinda lost in life and decides to do something about it. And it deals with all of this in a fairly realistic way that took the subject matter seriously. It didn't feel like some sort of cheap gimmick, and it felt like it actually tackled those subjects with the gravity they deserve. Without, feeling preachy or judgmental either. And that's another thing this movie deals with as well. The subject of being judgmental. And how difficult it actually can be not to judge people for their choices or actions or who they are. Which is something I've personally noticed. I try very hard not to judge. Because I know very well that I'm flawed and I know I make questionable decisions as well. And I still find myself judging people who are no better or worse than me in any way. And I feel like it's a fairly rare subject for a movie to take on. But this one did, and I think it did a surprisingly good job with it too. Because it's a tricky one to handle well, at least without feeling preachy. And I think it did a really good job with most of the things it dealt with. Because it could have also gone down the whole body positivity and self-acceptance route as well. Which is very much a double-edged sword and something a lot of movies seem to go with. But instead this one took a kind of a realistic and balanced approach to it all. And used humor very effectively, to keep it from getting too real and too heavy. However, it also wasn't afraid to get real when it needed to. So yeah, overall I think this one did a really good job with most of that. And the only real criticism I have, which also does feel like a bit of a nitpick, is that it put a pretty heavy emphasis on exercise as a solution to obesity. Which I as a former obese person definitely don't agree with. It helps, it's definitely not a bad thing for overall health, but it's only a small piece of the puzzle. And the movie did show that diet and overall lifestyle and support from people around you matter too. And that's why it sort of feels like I'm nitpicking, because it did address those things. But I just feel like the emphasis was still on the running, and I don't think that's very helpful for people who are actually struggling with obesity and being overweight. But then again, it's just a movie, and if it inspires even one person to exercise more, then that's great. So I shouldn't be too hard on it, because it definitely did a much better job than most movies like this. And now I'd better wrap it up, because I feel like I'm bordering on getting preachy myself. So yeah, would I recommend this? Sure, it's a pretty funny movie with a surprising amount of heart and actual depth too. So maybe give it a shot, or don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel, because that would be fantastic. And if you'd like, you can also support me on Patreon or PayPal through the links in the description. And as always, I appreciate you and thanks for watching.